didn't quite stack up to the lofty expectations I hold the Hokuto no Ken license to. Today I will delve into the games that came out on the early Sega consoles. First game we'll be looking at is Hokuto no Ken for the Sega Master System. The music is interesting. Kenshiro staring deep into your soul as he waits for you to press start is a little unsettling. As far as title screens go, this one's very nice. First thing I noticed while playing this one is that it bears a huge resemblance to the first two games that I covered. Ken walks from left to right fighting a never-ending horde of wasteland thugs that randomly spawn from either side of the screen. They don't throw anything this time around. Thank goodness. No flying bullshit coming at you from off screen either. Also, no big dumb mazes to work your way around. Just a straight shot to the end of the level with a bunch of mini-bosses peppered in between. I don't want to get my hopes up or anything, but I think this one's a solid action game. The enemies attack you at a reasonable pace. There are some instances of them dogpiling you, resulting in taking a nice hunk of health, but this very rarely happens. If you choose your targets carefully and use well-timed attacks, you can get through large portions of the levels without so much as taking a scratch. Unlike the first two titles, if you're taking damage, it's 100% your fault. So train those fists and master those kicks if you want to go far. Ken fights using the normal tools available to him in a 2-button action-adventure game, a punch and a kick. He can also kick while jumping. Jumping is executed by pressing up on the D-pad. Up? Like in a fighting game? What madness is this? There are a few uses for the jump outside of bosses. The kick, as far as I can tell, has the same range as the punch and keeps Ken stuck in the same spot for a couple of seconds before being able to belt out another attack, whereas the punch can be done quickly and repeatedly. I'd say for every one kick you do, Ken could throw out 2.5 punches. So unless you're feeling fancy, keep your fingers plastered to the punch button. Levels usually have at least one, if not more, mini-bosses to contend with. They don't have health bars, nor are they all too dangerous to deal with. They go down in about 3 or 4 hits, sometimes 5. They all happen to be very detailed and are recognizable characters from the manga and or anime. Good though the game is, it's not without its frustrations. For one thing, the pressure point gimmick is back and in full force. I first encountered a problem with this mechanic upon fighting Mr. Hart. I must have hit him over 20 times, but he still wouldn't go down. I lost a life to this chubbo trying to figure out how to make his head explode. Good thing dying only takes you back to the previous section of a level, leaving you to fight through a small section of goons before letting you try against the boss again. I am quite grateful for this, as Mr. Hart is the 4th mini-boss in this level, and having to go through the first 3 again would have been very annoying. I accidentally killed him, in a couple of shots mind you, by punching while crouching. Given that I wailed on him for a good couple of minutes on the previous attempt, this must have been what the game wanted me to do. Oh lordy, what does that mean for the rest of the game? After reaching the end of the level, the gameplay changes to that of a 2D fighter. First end level boss is Shin, of course. He's easy enough to handle. Jump kick him in the face, back up, repeat. This works until I hit a snag. After a certain point, his life bar stops depleting, which means I have to hit him with a specific attack to finish him off. Well, if it's anything like the manga, it's gonna be a punch. And boom. Shin's taking a dirt nap and we can carry on to the next level. The Colonel is a joke as far as the bosses in the game go. Run up to him, punch him in the face over and over until the leader of God's army falls. Next is Devil Rebirth. You don't look so tough. Oh. He jumped on me. Well, oops. Let's try that again.
Yes, without the oops.
And dead. I haven't really discussed any of the levels, as most of them are exactly the same. Nothing really to talk about, but level 4 is an exception. First off, the enemies here are very aggressive. They're all super quick and can take huge hunks of health off you if you're not careful. All throughout the level, there's a frickin' hawk constantly swooping down from above. You can kill it, but it'll keep on spawning in like the regular enemies. If you want to make it through this section with your life bar and sanity intact, I suggest ignoring the flying fucker. He's just there to disrupt your rhythm in handling enemies. The damage he does, if he hits you, is negligible. Uyghur only has 1 bird in the manga. His video game counterpart has an endless supply. Boy, birds are just always annoying in video games, aren't they? Uyghur is another story. Out of all the mid-bosses in the game, he's the most bothersome to handle. He has a shoulder charge that he can pull off out of nowhere and does a lot of damage. He has a spammy whip attack that can frickin' stun lock you, so keep your distance and take him down with jump kicks. Then, after all that, they throw a mid-boss at you that consists of 2 dudes on both sides of you throwing shit. There's no clear way to fight these guys that I could find. Just tank the hits and hope they go down before you do. End level boss on level 4 is Toki? What? I went over this in the last video. They did not fight. Why? To make things more infuriating, he's one of the trickiest bastards in the game. Every time you try to attack him, he ignores the hit and counterattacks. Two could play at that game, bub. Stand still and wait for him to throw a punch. You'll need to stand close enough to be able to hit him after he attacks, but not so close that you get a big meaty fist to the face. I knew going into this fight there would be some trickery afoot, seeing as it's Souther and all. The entire point was trying to find out how to hurt him in the manga. How? I did very well for a while and I've hit him with every move I have and the fucker's life won't go down. Damn it! Game over. Let me guess. Yeah. Back to the beginning. Alright. No problem. Having some time to sit in my anger as I worked my way up to him, I had figured out the riddle of Souther's body. That being, I looked over the footage before I fought him again and noticed that I never crouch kicked him. Sure enough, that's the thing I needed to do to make progression. You have to hit him with a specific series of attacks in sequence. A jump kick, a standing punch, a crouching punch, and a crouching kick. Then repeat. My extensive knowledge of the manga guided me towards the correct path to defeating him when it came down to the finishing blow. Just attack him while he's jumping in the air. Next is Rao. He hits like a dump truck. I suggest either jump kicking him or waiting for him to try and jump at you, then crouch and punch as he lands. Quickly back off after attacking or else. Oh! Not even the 1800-year history of Hokuto can stand up to a kick in the groin by Rao. To be fair, this guy chuffing you in the ghoulies would kill just about any person on the planet. Game over! Let's try again. Okay, back again. In the manga, Ken beats Rao with a punch to the chest, which can only translate into this game as a standing punch. Okay. I'll get his health down to as low as it will go and finish him off with a standing punch. Easy peasy. I can't. Just let me come on. See how much health I had at the beginning of that exchange there? All I had to do was land a single punch. Just one, and it would have been over. My kingdom for Muso Tensei. Alright. Back. Fuck you, Rao. Eat shit. Go to hell. Dead. My Yuria. My only problem with this game was that there are no continues. Being bodied by a boss that has a secret method to defeating them wouldn't be such a chore if I could have had multiple attempts at beating them rather than having to drudge through the whole game just to get another shot. Other than that, good game. 7 fists out of 10. There was a version of this game that we got in America, but it's completely devoid of anything related to Fist of the North Star. Though it's rather interesting. Same old game, but with a few tweaks. For one, they changed the music and the backgrounds of each level. They also changed all the sprites and names. Shin is Ryu, the player character is Ricky. You got half of the Road Warriors attacking you in level 2. A sumo replaces Devil Rebirth. You got freaking Mayday from A View to a Kill throwing down on level 5. Souther is replaced by some woman named Rita. And there's a picture of So Nintendo in the back there. Names, sprites, and changed backgrounds aside, the only major difference here is the appearance of health and invincibility power-ups. Health being flying sushi, and Asian symbols as invincibility. The Hokuto game did have an invincibility power-up. I got it once in the 5 or so times I played through it. I have no clue how I got it or what makes it happen. Both games are fun and deserve to play through, even if you're not a fan of Hokuto. Just be ready to see that game over screen a few times before figuring it all out. Now for the true test of my Hokuto skills. Hokuto no Ken, Shinsei Kimatsu Kyushishu Densetsu. Sure hope I said that right. It starts with a bunch of story I can't understand. It's most likely regaling the player of the events leading up to the latter half of the Hokuto no Ken story taking place many years after Ken defeating Rao and heading off into the wild blue yonder with Yuria. Let's jump in and see what kind of hell I'm gonna get myself into. Ooh! Nice sound bit there. I'm ready to bust some heads. Oh, geez. That's some head busting, alright. Everybody explodes up in here. Graphically, this one looks great. The character models are detailed, there's blood. For being a game about a desolate wasteland, there's a surprising amount of color everywhere. The music is some uninspired Genesis garble that isn't worth getting into. So, how does it play? Walk left, punch and or kick dudes, jump, avoid, or strike back projectiles. I must be sounding like an old record player at this point. Yes, this plays much the same as the previous 3 games. It's more akin to the previous title though. You have to carefully gauge the enemies coming at you and think about which one of Ken's attacks will most efficiently dispatch each foe, as well as time said attacks so that they don't miss, which would leave you open for an attack or two. Ken can do a standing, jumping, crouching, punch, and kick. This may seem like the same means to an end, but oh no, mon frere. They each have a specific purpose. Your standing punch is best for most situations. Your kick is once again something of a detriment as it keeps you locked where you're attacking and doesn't have the same range as the punch. Though this time around you're gonna need it to bat away projectiles. It's diddly crap for taking out most enemies, but works wonders in kicking back knives, axes, and the like. Knocked back projectiles do no harm to enemies on the screen this time around. Bummer. For the early game, the jumping punch and or kick doesn't have very much use as it has shit range. We're better off on solid ground for the time being. I reached the end of the level to find little Bat, though he's not so little anymore. Ken and Bat exchange words and it's off to the next section. Whoa, hey, this is different. Whole map to explore this time. I even have a little miniature bust of Ken to move around like I'm playing a board game. First boss is, it's Hulk Hogan. You must excuse me. My knowledge of the latter half of the manga has taken a precipitous fall as of late. Ah, here he is. Typing in Hulk Hogan Fist of the North Star into Google gave me exactly what I needed. Bask. Bask is his name. Bask is dead. You have free roam of the map to move in whatever direction you desire. I would suggest venturing to all parts of the map. A lot of places have other characters for you to meet, and they often give you some sort of permanent power-up to your stats or refill your health. And brother, you're gonna need it. Every game before this one had Ken gaining a small bit of life after killing 10 or so baddies. This mechanic is not in this game. Though it was gracious enough to give us the Hokuto video game tradition of no continues when you die. That's a good thing. It's the most infuriating dilemma to start a whole game over again from scratch. What makes it more angrifying is the levels aren't short and they can't be plowed through so easily. It takes actual time and a great deal of concentration to get through these parts without taking damage. And you will take damage. Oh yes. Whether it be from a mistimed punch or random bullshit, you're going to take a hit from time to time no matter how focused you are. And if you think the guys on the left side of the board are a pain in the ass, wait till you get to the Shura area on the right side. Woo! They're as cheap as a $2 steak and twice as tough, boy. Did I mention that they brought back the mother-loving mazes? Yeah, there are several. That's right, I said several sections of the game where they throw you into a building leaving you to navigate yourself to the end. Some of them are total goddamn hair-pulling, controller-biting bullshit. Almost at the end, oh, you fell down a hole, start over. Worked your tuchus off to get here? Oh joy, dead end, try another path. All the while you're dodging flying axes, floor knives, ceiling spears, little rocks, boulders, and wall fire. Oh, no, please, no, get out, I can't get out. Please, no, Kenshiro, not like this. Holy hell, lady, there's flying axes and sentient arrows all over the place. It's just crazy in here. The only saving grace of these parts is that there are rooms where you can go into that spawn enemies. These enemies give you some health when you kill them. Only these ones. And you can go back and forth in the buildings to reset the rooms so you can get more health. That's something at least. As you kill guys, a bar at the bottom of the screen begins to fill up. Once you reach a certain threshold, you hulk out and become a human blender of pain and torment. You throw many punches and kicks while attacking now, and you have access to a far more useful kick while jumping. It has a further reach and a wider hitbox than your regular kick, and it busts up a lot of the bosses in the game. Just so you know, you're going to want to knock back projectiles with your crouching punch now. Don't know what losing his shirt does to his standing kicks, but they don't knock things back as well as they did. The map can get rather obtuse with its traversal at some points. You need to follow a certain path and visit places in sequence in order to open progression. I had a couple of times where I couldn't move on for whatever dumb reason, making me travel to other areas of the map to meet someone who I guess gives me the information I need to advance. On the flip side, there are parts of the map you can completely ignore. Which ones are those? Where should you go? None of these things are made apparent to you. I even did some research to see if the people you're talking to give you any pertinent information. They do not. They say stupid random words of encouragement like, "Only you can save us," and "I will die for my cause." So get ready to go every which way if you want to figure out where the hell to go next. Oh, and meeting people to get power-ups is essential to Ken's survival. All that time loafing around with Yuria all those years has withered away his Hokuto skills. It's up to you to train him back up to peak physical and mental form if you want to have a chance against Kaio at the end. And this woman here, Sachi's girlfriend, doesn't give you anything. Look at where she is on the map. That's all the way at the furthest point you can travel, and I went there like a damn fool thinking I was going to get something out of it. She says something and Ken goes, "Bleh," and I get nodded. Fuck you. The bosses are fairly easy to get through. Beating them usually falls down to waiting for them to attack, then stepping in and counter-attacking after. Think of the Toki fight from the last game, and that's how most of the bosses here should be approached. All of the Hokuto Ryukin guys can be beaten using the jumping kick technique. Throw caution to the wind, shove your boot into their faces, and they'll go down no problem. And so our hero rides off into the sunset with his trusty steed, having once again saved the day from evil most foul. I like how this one went for a more story-based approach, or at least tried to. It had just about every major player in the arcs that were covered present. I couldn't understand them, but I knew enough of the story to piece everything together. The big map gives the game a sense of scale when it comes down to how far you've gone. I edited out all of my failures, but I have no shame in telling you that I had to restart the game at least 20 different times. One of those being when I was at the very end. This game's hard. Blinding rage from all that aside, I would suggest that you go through this one with a guide handy. It'll save you a lot of time and a headache. By the way, the music was composed by Booty. Not quite out of the woods yet, though I'm going to make this one quick. We did get this game over here, though like the Master System title, all things relating to Fist of the North Star were ripped out and replaced with dumb names and different colors. The game was called Last Battle. The main bosses all have weird and outlandish skin colors. Are they supposed to be mutants or something? They don't bleed blood, that's for damn sure. Hell, aside from the bosses exploding, there's no blood in this one. The enemies fly off screen whenever Ken bats them away with his fist. Oh, I'm sorry, not Ken, Arzak. This opening text scroll is very odd. For one, it goes by far too quick for me to read. Slow the heck down, dang it. Also, if you do take the time to read through the whole thing, it basically goes through the entirety of the story from beginning to end. Transposing the correct names and terms here would give you a short synopsis of the entire Hokuto no Ken 2 storyline, which is what you're playing through in the game. Seems a little weird that a game would essentially spoil the story right out the gate in the first screen. Speaking of story, I can understand what the characters are saying now. It adds absolutely nothing to the game, but I can understand it. This is what I was missing? I'm good here. No fist characters makes this game about 60% less tolerable. There was a bit of a shaky start there for the Hokuto games, but they've gotten gradually better with each new entry. Yes, they're all essentially the same game, but they all offer something different. Mostly frustration and anger, but there's fun to be had here as long as you know what you're doing. Guess I'll wander the wastelands and get back to you guys when I come across another Hokuto game. Until then, take care, mon frères.